She's in first class.
But that is not to say people who had 2-1, 2-2, and even some third class. I know some third class excellent graduates. So many things may have happened. But yes, we need a matrix to judge. So my point being, when we say the best of the best, it is subject to bias.
So you're saying some second class people can be better than first class?
Oh no,
people?
that one for sure. Yeah. I mean, some of us may just have been very good at rote memorization. But that is not to say. I mean, you to be a first class graduate, and even in Nigeria as it is, you need to have put in the work. Sure, but I'm saying, and it's one of the things I advocate for, even for scholarships. If you are going to use any, index to judge, let it be standardized and let people know what it is. It gives a level playing field again, but not, people go to write an exam and, you don't know what to expect.
So you're saying the exam also sets an unlevel playing field?
Yes, exactly. That's another point I really, really strongly hope to drive home, and I hope, scholarship bodies let people know what, I mean, for example, WAEC, West African School, it's not,
level, yeah.
Yes, those exams, people know what to prepare for. JAM, people know what to prepare for. But, these other exams come up, and it's what makes it seem like luck. If that area favored you, then, I mean, I've written a scholarship exam before where they brought out questions on driving, lesson tests, all of the signs, and I mean, if you were not prepared at that point for that, and you're seeing various signs.
But that's why it's called an exam for the best of the best.
Exam.
But that's why you see. So you should your knowledge should vary.
Yes, and your knowledge could vary. It could vary, but my point being this: if it's not a standardized exam, it cannot be a judge. It cannot be a judge.
Okay, so now let's look at the history of scholarship, right? In recent years, let's say from the return of democracy in 1999, we've had presidential scholarships. In the region we have the NDDC scholarship. We've had the RSS, DA, up until recently when it became political. Would you say that just maybe if we had more merits, like we argue, the scholarship systems would have been sustained? Maybe because we've used quota systems, we have seen politics take over. For instance, the civil service, as much as they work closely with the government, they're still in existence because no matter how much politicization have not overwhelmed the civil service, could we have done scholarship like that where it was basically on capacity, your scores, like we have argued, and I don't know.
So the unfortunate, Nigerian problem is when we say quota, it is an opportunity to now, remove transparency.
Exactly the
point. Which shouldn't be. If we were doing as we should, like I explained, what it would be, so for example, a multi-ethnic region like River State, and I think that's how RSSDA was built. You go for you pick the best in each of the ethnicities. That's how the quota system should be. And then if we're talking Nigeria, there are, how many states and the Federal Capital Territory, you're probably going for the best in each of the states. So you are not limiting capacity. And I mean, if I want to talk about PRESSID, this is a scholarship that is supposed to be for people going to the world best schools. So if you still have to prove your worth. So that's why I keep using the term access. What the quota would have done.
Okay, tell us about PRESSID, your time.
Okay, so presidential scholarship scheme was, created by Jonathan 2012. I mean, I still remember for some reason watching the news that day and, hearing him institute that scheme. Jonathan was a lecturer, so I'm sure he was, spurred by the fact that there is no reward for labor, especially academic labor. And it had been one of his dreams to institute such a scheme. And so he came up with that, which he called purely merit-based.
But was it?
Well, yes. I mean, in the sense that good luck Jonathan wanted it, it was purely merit-based. We have to give it to that administration. There was no interference. Everybody who got that scholarship was, like Aisha Yusufu we put it, is, a child of nobody can become somebody.
Okay.
We when we took an exam, if you passed, with the level they took, you got the scholarship. That was what Jonathan wanted. And of course, with that, it meant, there was hardly representation from some places, not even from his state or the vice president's state. And they did that to show that if they will not interfere, then nobody should interfere. So it achieved what he wanted.
Do you think, now, based on our argument on the show, do you think that was we as a country taking the best of the best and sending them to universities around the world to learn from?
I think it was a good attempt to do that. Where I would fault it once again is on the aptitude test. As long as it is not standardized, and we have standardized exams, like I used the local ones. We have GRE, we have IELTS. People know what to prepare. Don't forget, this is an exam already for first class scholars. So these people are not unintelligent people. They are not.
But the best of the best ones.
Well, yes. I mean, every scholarship cannot take everyone. So a set of people have to be selected. So his criteria was take the best. I mean, I still remember getting, I think, 78% in that exam. Because once you were done with the exam, you saw your score. So I think they used that and an aggregate of your WASC result. And transparent. That there was no interference. It was beautiful. Everybody is grateful for that, opportunity. You did not need to know anybody. So it should get all the flowers it deserves. But then that brings us to another problem. 19 northern states, no representative. Of course, like I said, Bayelsa State, even Kaduna State, the vice president state then. So naturally speaking, you are further deepening an already existing divide. But there are good people from those states.
I agree. But what if now those people, so this is supposed to be the idea, right? Yeah. People who go for scholarship, especially outside the country, you're supposed to go learn, bring the knowledge back, and not just develop, because now it's the Federal Republic of Nigeria sending them away to learn. When they come back, it's supposed to be knowledge for everybody.
True.
So even the people who were not represented, so to say, have access to whatever knowledge that they bring back. Was that effective?
Well, unfortunately, no. Because the same thing, people seem to say, yes, we know this is federal, but maybe if we had representatives from every state, and then say, for example, if these people were to come back as lecturers, even though,
like you did.
Yes, then each person can now, at least each region has their representative. I mean, Nigeria is a complex society, so with, so many other issues existing on the background, insecurities and all. So people were like, some people may not want to go to a different region and all. So at the end of the day, we have the regions that already are highly advantaged now have even more advantage, and that is why the House at the level they sat on it, they just didn't see this as a fair representation.
Let's come to Rivers State. We used to have under Amechi, and I think it was similar administration with Jonathan's, right? So we used to have under Amechi RSSDA, and then we used to have the NDDC scholarship as well. We still have NDDC, because I saw, was it my dad who sent it to me via WhatsApp or something like that?
Yeah, so still put out application.
And I think I have a cousin, or is he an uncle? You know how this relationship thing is. I don't know which one is it. It looks like a cousin uncle. And he went, to Russia during, was it Jonathan's time as well, through the NDDC scholarship. Now, the thing in my head is, do we still have these scholarships? The question in my head, do we still have these scholarships as effective as they were? Because, while we have a problem with, you're saying Quota should be involved. I'm saying it should be all merit. Even if I'm not a bookworm, I don't know, I'm not as intelligent as she is. I still, even if I don't get it, I still think the best of the best in terms of sitting for an examination should get it. Even if we disagree on that point, do we still have it as effective as they were back in the days? I mean, the NDDC scholarship, is it still as great? I guess some people who went through the scholarship at the time. Do you think it's as great as it was before?
Well, how would we measure effectiveness? NDU actually had most of our lecturers were being...
That's Niger Delta University,
yeah,
by the way.
Niger Delta University. Alamisia trained many of them outside. Once that state was created and the school needed to be created, he sent lots of them.
Okay.
And of course, it's some sort of bond. You come back, you give, and I mean, he really did well. I don't think there was continuity with that. Generally, the idea usually is train people who would go and come back, give input. I mean, I also beg to differ. Then not everybody will come back, and that happens the world over.
In your set, how many people came back?
Well, to be fair, I mean, the contract was, broken, not by our end. The scholarship ended while many of us were still on, by the time the administration changed. And the new. So, to be fair, the bond was already broken, by the other end. So, yeah. And part of the long-term goal for the Good Luck administration on that was to secure jobs. Those who wanted to go into academia, industry, because these were catalysts of change in different fields. So his idea was robust. But since it did not eventually materialize, you can't really hold anybody to it. Yeah, eventually people needed to start, fending for themselves, so that you can't hold it against anybody.
And I think it was the same with the RSSDA.
Yes.
So continuity is a problem, I guess.
Yes. I mean, one person has lofty dreams, although the ones that are state-based, these things were already in existence. The problem with PRESSID is it was just created and it had not, stabilized. He was still trying to bring in PTDF, TED Fund, let everybody be part of it, but that did not fully materialize. And so, yeah, the dream died before it could. And I mean, I really hope they can bring it back. But point being, yes, it is not a complete loss that people leave. There's a lot of partnership, there's a lot of collaboration that still goes on. You have colleagues, some people will always come back. It's the same thing we have in the Asian world. A lot would stay, collaborations.
But that's what has built the Asian continent, right?
And it can help us too. The lots of people we have, people would always remain homebound. There's something about home. You would still want to give back. Once infrastructure is in place, believe me, people will want to give back. The only reason people are afraid of coming back in terms of academia is because we don't have the infrastructure for research. If we do, they will come.
All right. So now let's bring it to Rivers State, where we may have observed, we may be wrong, but we may have observed that it's not as, we've got the scholarship board, like you mentioned, outside, but it's not as robust as, it's not as effective. I think effective is the word. It's not as effective as we would like it to be. If we were to set an agenda on the show this morning, what would your what would your solution be, so to say? And I'm asking this question because we just said not too long ago, about 2-3 minutes ago, that the Asian continent was built on, a scheme like this, where people were sent to various parts of the world to learn, and they were asked to return. Not everybody returned, but some returned. And look at how fast Asian countries like, Korea, like China, like Japan, Singapore, look at how fast they're growing. So what will your solution be?
Okay, I mean, for the Niger Deltans, typically I do not like us sounding like victims. We are not victims at this point.
Okay.
We have resources. So we need to harness our own potential, build our own. Look at how, I mentioned the Lamesia. This was how many years ago?
2000,
yes. This is, and he was very intentional with that. So we need policy, just like the Awolowo did that time. It took them about 2-3 years to sit and say this and this and this is what we will do. We will, compulsory primary education, secondary, will be like this, and that means so they were intentional with it. We have youths who are excellent youths, but we do not have the infrastructure, the facilities. Go to our public primary and secondary schools. It's appalling. That's the foundation. That's the truth. The foundation. Until that we get that right, we cannot, get it right above that. So we need, if we are saying primary education is free and compulsory, then we make sure it is that. Like, they have the facilities to measure up. Not somebody is in a private school learning with air conditioner and electronic
and
boards
computers
and then somebody is having to sit on the ground, no facilities. Learning is not. We need to first of all create equal access so that people can measure. So, and then, that's at the basic level. Then come on, we need to think of, we have oil companies here. Enough of just, doing local things. We need a STEM.
So they should contribute to
a STEM hub, like innovation hub. Those are the, people, if people are trained, is that not what happens when we go abroad? we meet the facilities and then we are trained and we excel.
Can I ask you a question? Is it different